Okay, let's talk about this coming weekend now. UFC Fight Night, Song versus Gutierrez. Saturday, December 9th, going down at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, headlined by a pair of bantamweight crackers here, Song Yadong and Chris Gutierrez. Before we get to that main event and the other main card fights that we're going to talk about, Mark, are there any undercard? Yeah, no problem. Are there any undercard fighters or fights that you want to just quickly spotlight for our viewers and listeners?
Certainly going to highlight the boy Tatsuro Taira. He is on the undercard. He's fighting Carlos Hernandez. I don't know why they refuse to let him move past this level of fighter. I would think he has won enough. I'm looking quick. Is he 3-0 or 4-0? Yeah, that's what I thought. He's 4-0. To me, we're at the ranked opponent level here, and it's just not happening. So he's fighting Carlos Hernandez. He's a big favorite. He's like 5-1. So hopefully he can put on another show. I do think he should have a significant grappling edge and that he can get it into that realm in that fight. The other that I'll note is Kenan Song and Kevin Jusay, I think is how he says it. I actually forget from his debut if it was Jusset or Jusay. I think it was Jusay. But he is the training partner of Izzy down at CKB and all those boys. He looked very solid in his debut. He's fighting Kenan Song, who I actually feel like is a pretty underrated welterweight. So I'm looking forward to that one. That is the featured prelim. It was on the main card until yesterday, and then it switched from a 6-fight main to a 5-fight main. So now it's the featured prelim. But yeah, I'm interested to see if Kevin Jusay can follow up on his impressive debut.
Okay. So you want to start with it went down to a 5-fight main card?
Yep. Right? Is that what you see?
No. What do you see? What does it start with?
Are you on UFC.com?
No. Which fight was demoted to the undercard?
The one I just said.
Kenan.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Park. Right.
I'm going to UFC.com right now. I thought that's what I saw earlier today. Yeah, so it's the main card opens with Park, then the Elliott fight, then Nasrat, and obviously the two.
Okay. Let's do this, baby. Okay, here we go. Let me pull up these. Here we go. Okay, we go to the middleweight division with a very, very fun fight at middleweight here, opening up this main card of this UFC Fight Night. At 185, Yong Park taking on Andre Muniz. What a matchup here. Yong Park, the Iron Turtle. Of course, the 32-year-old fighting out of Seoul, South Korea. 17-5 as a pro with 11 finishes on a 4-fight win streak, Mark, coming into this Saturday, most recently finishing Albert Duraev by submission via rear naked choke back in July of this year. And he'll be taking on probably his toughest test to date, at least on paper, Andre Muniz, the 33-year-old out of Brazil, 23-6 with 15 submission victories on his record. Very much looking to get back in the win column is Muniz, having lost back-to-back fights in his last two outings at the hands of Brendan Allen and Paul Craig. Mark, give us your take and your pick. Yong Park against Andre Muniz.
I was writing down Omar's picks from our text, so we remember to share them with the people. I'll share his first, actually, while I'm at it. Omar has gone with Park by second round KO for this
fight.
Wow. Okay, odds-wise, Park is the favorite, despite the fact that Muniz is kind of at the higher standing in the division at this point in time. Park is minus 175. Muniz is plus 145 as the dog. Muniz is taller and longer. He's 3 inches taller. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage, so pretty significant numbers there. And, this is a difficult fight to pick because, as you alluded to, Park has very quietly won 7 of 8 fights in the UFC, which if you're winning 7 of 8 fights, you're pretty damn good. It doesn't matter who it's against. Whereas Muniz has been finished twice in a row and has not looked great in either one of them. But even still, he has wins over higher level guys than Junyoung Park does. So you could argue he's more proven against the top flight competition. So it's a tough one to gauge the levels each of these guys are at as they meet here. I do think on paper, Park is the choice. He should be the more dangerous striker. He's probably the better pure wrestler. He should have the better cardio. And he is not easy to grapple against. He's very compact. He's the Iron Turtle. So
Right.
I don't imagine it's going to be easy for Muniz. So it really, on paper, I believe, does favor Park. And I see he's the betting favorite, and I'm sure that's sure why. But I'm going to maybe dumbly choose to believe in Andre Muniz one last time. He is much bigger and much longer. He has shown us a level of submission danger on his run up where he had 4 subs in a row that we have not seen from very many guys before. So I'm going to choose to ignore the recent information that I have in front of me and say that he can find a way to a submission, being the much bigger, longer man here by the middle of this fight before any cardio comes into play. And I'm going to say Andre Muniz wins by round 2 submission.
So you're thinking that Muniz is going to pop back here, kind of to his old form. I will say I'm going to roll with Omar on this one. You're rolling with him one more time. For me, this is a fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you kind of thing. I thought going into his Brendan Allen fight, I'm pretty sure I was picking Muniz in that fight. Because going up until that point, he was on such a tear. And to your point, bringing in so much danger. You're right, at 185. He is a big guy at 185. And a significant, a serious submission threat. A guy with real jiu-jitsu chops at middleweight, which not a ton of guys have. And leading up to his Brendan Allen fight, against Uriah Hall, Eric Anders, Jacare. He finishes Jacare. He finishes Eric Anders. And he looks like a freaking world beater, this guy. And then, dude, and his fights against Brendan Allen and against Paul Craig, I'm like, he looks like a different guy in there. I don't know what it is. I almost want to say something else in his life, or like his personal life is like taken away from his training or something. He just looked to me so different in his last couple outings compared to like this beast who's coming up the rankings here. So at this point, because it happened again against Paul Craig, I'm going to go with the Iron Turtle here, a guy who's trending in the other direction here. So I'm going to say Junyoung Park by decision. I think he's going to beat up Andre Muniz across 3 rounds and get his hand raised on the scorecards. All right.
Like it. Yeah, I think the inexplicable fall off is why I'm choosing to believe one more time. I'm like, the talent is there. At some point,
right.
it's got to show itself.
The talent and the attributes, the size.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be a really fun fight here. Sumudaerji taking on. Wait, who's his opponent here? Tim Elliott. There he is. I found him.
Yeah, this one until very recently was Sumudaerji against Alan Nascimento,
right.
But Nascimento fell out.
That's
I don't
right.
even know. 2 days ago, maybe that was, or yesterday. I can't even remember. And and Tim Elliott jumped in.
Yeah, I have it here. Nascimento withdrew from the fight due to injury. Did not say when. This was published. Yeah, the article on this was published yesterday. So
yeah, I think it was yesterday morning. Yeah, it's pretty short notice for Tim.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Sumudaerji, the Tibetan Eagle, the 27-year-old fighting out of China, 16-5 as a pro, with 13 of his 16 wins coming by way of knockout. He has not fought since that incredible fight against Matt Schnell, in which he was winning that fight, if memory serves. And then Matt Schnell pulls off an incredible comeback, choking him out, I believe. Yes, it was a triangle choke, giving us one of the most memorable and memeable moments in Matt Schnell's career, flashing the money signs on his back with a passed out Sumudaerji in a heap in front of him here. So let's not forget, Sumudaerji looked pretty damn good in that fight for most of that fight. So his opponent here is going to have his hands full no matter what. Tim Elliott, the 36-year-old, fighting out of Lee's Summit, Missouri, USA, 19-13 with 1 draw, 9 finishes on his pro MMA record. Also looking to get back in the win column, losing to Muhammad Makayev to arm triangle back in October of this year. Mark, give us the take, or give us Omar's take first and pick. Not take, but just pick.
Omar has gone with Tim Elliott to win a decision.
Wow.
Man, sorry about this cough, everybody. Trying to work through it. Okay, so Tim Elliott, despite the short notice, is the betting favorite. He's minus 155. Sumudaerji is a plus 130 underdog. Sumudaerji, however, is 1 inch taller and has a 6-inch reach advantage at flyweight, which is unheard of. This one to me simply comes down to whether Sumudaerji can clip Elliott using that reach and finish him before Elliott manages to drag this one to the mat. And he's very live to do that. We've seen the success he can have with his range striking before. The length is obviously going to help, and it could certainly happen. But Tim Elliott is herky-jerky enough that he is really hard to find in there, especially early. And I think that allows him to see what's coming, to get Sumudaerji's timing down without getting clipped, and to start finding entries to work his wrestling. And on the mat, I think Elliott's got him outgunned. We've seen Sumudaerji sub before, and I think Tim Elliott is a guy who can make that happen again. So I will go Tim Elliott by round 2 submission.
Oh, baby. I will be rolling with Mr. Sumudaerji in this fight. Or really, it's really Mudaerji is probably his first name, right? Yeah, we've been over this. Okay, forget it. Yeah, I mean, I like Tim Elliott, and I do like his unorthodox style. He's fun to watch. That being said, I don't think that he's going to get finished by Sumudaerji, even though Mudaerji is a damn finisher. But Tim Elliott here, across his 30-plus pro fighting career, he's only been knocked out once. So I think that Mudaerji, he's going to have hands for Elliott, and I think he is eventually going to find Elliott. I think he's going to go to a decision here, and I think that Mudaerji is going to have landed the majority of the damage in this fight. Give me Sumudaerji on the scorecards, UD. Who did Omar? Tell me again who Omar took.
Elliott decision.
And you're taking Elliott, right?
Yes.
Okay, we go to now the lightweights. Nasrat Haqparast taking on Jamie Mullarkey. So Haqparast is the 28-year-old out of Morocco. His record stands at 15-5 entering this weekend. 9 knockouts of his 15 wins have come by way of knockout. No submission victories, notable. He's only been finished twice in his career. 1 knockout, 1 time he got subbed. Coming off back-to-back wins coming into this weekend. Most recently, Lando Quinones back in September of this year. So he's just a couple months later, he's hopping right back into the saddle, taking on the Aussie Jamie Mullarkey, 29 years old, out of South Wales, Australia, 17-6 as a pro. 13 of his 17 wins have been finishes, 10 of those knockouts, coming off of a UD over John Makdessi. Let's hear Omar's pick.
Omar has gone with Jamie Mullarkey to win a decision.
Okay.
So he's going with the dog. He's going with the dog here because Jamie is plus 160. Nasrat is a minus 200 favorite in this fight.
It's a nice fight.
Huh?
It's a nice fight. I like this fight a lot.
Me too. Jamie's a bit longer. He's 2 inches taller, 2-inch reach advantage. And this is a really hard fight to call for me because both guys can look very good at times and then look very average at other times. Their styles are different in that Haqparast excels more when he can keep the fight cleaner and rely on his technique, whereas Mullarkey excels when he can turn the fight into a brawl. They've both put some runs together where they look like they're on the rise, but neither one of them has really ever managed to break through. So both these guys need this fight. It's pretty big for the two of them. And I don't know. I have a feeling Jamie Mullarkey is going to get this done because in his recent fights, he has been fighting very well overall outside of giving some big moments to his opponent where he'll make a mistake and get clipped and get caught and it swings around or whatever it may be. Even the win he got over McDessie, that almost happened. But Nasrat Haqparast is just not a big moment type of fighter. He hasn't been a finisher. He doesn't carry huge power. So I think that allows Jamie time to work, maybe even to find a late finish. But either way, I think the bigger moments come from him as this fight goes on. And I think that lets him be ahead on the cards when this thing is said and done. So I will go Jamie Mullarkey, UD.
We agree on this one. Even though Nasrat Haqparast I view as a talented guy overall, nothing about him has really stood out to me or made me feel like, oh man, this is a guy that is really going to make some waves in this division. Jamie Mullarkey, maybe to a slightly greater degree. I think that his higher finish rate kind of reflects that. He's got nice attributes for the weight class. I agree that I don't see him finishing Haqparast here, even though he definitely has knockout power. So I will also take Mullarkey by UD. I don't know if I've picked a finish yet. I just might in this next one. All right, here we go. This is maybe a fight that I'm looking forward to the most on this card. We have Anthony Lionheart Smith taking on Khalil, the Warhorse Rountree. Anthony Smith, the 35-year-old out of Omaha, Nebraska, 37-18. That is his professional record, 37-18. Out of his 37 victories, Mark, only 3 have gone the distance. This man has 20 knockout wins and 14 submission wins. That is a little astounding. I have to say, it's a little astounding. After dropping back-to-back fights, getting finished by Ankalaev and then losing to Johnny Walker, he bounced back with a split decision win over Ryan Spann this past August. And now he'll be standing across from the 33-year-old out of Las Vegas, Khalil Rountree. His record stands at 12-5, with 8 of his 12 wins coming by way of knockout. He has 0 submission victories. He also has 1 no contest. Khalil is riding a 4-fight win streak coming into this weekend, most recently knocking out Chris Daukaus back in August. So both these men have fought most recently in August. Also notable, in this 4-fight win streak, 3 of these 4 wins have come by way of knockout. Omar, who did you pick?
Omar took Khalil Rountree by round 2 knockout.
Khalil Rountree by round 2 knockout. I will go next. I think you guys could probably predict this pick for me because I am a Khalil Rountree guy. Nothing against Anthony Smith. In fact, this might be a dumb pick because Anthony Smith probably has more ways to win in this fight. But that being said, Khalil, I think, is really coming into his own, really accepting and trusting his abilities and his power. For a guy who brings his level of Muay Thai prowess to the UFC light heavyweight division is really something to behold in moments. And I still have that memory of him soccer kicking Carl Roberson in the chest on the ground, which lifted his body off the mat. So I also will be going with Khalil Rountree, and I'll go with Omar, and I'll say round 2 TKO for Khalil. Mark, what do you got?
All right. So this fight came together on about 2 weeks' notice. I don't remember if you said that in your intro, but Khalil was supposed to fight Azamat Mirzakhanov last week. Mirzakhanov got sick. Smith jumped in. They delayed the fight 1 week to accommodate Smith a little bit, and here we are. So not very long training camps for either of these guys to prepare for the other. Khalil is minus 240 on the betting line, which is fairly wide, wider than I expected to see. Anthony Smith is plus 190 as the dog. He is 3 inches taller, Smith, but Khalil will have a half-inch reach advantage. I love this matchup. It's such an interesting fight because for every damn second that it lasts on the feet, Anthony Smith is going to be in danger. But at any moment that Anthony Smith gets this fight down to the mat, it could end. So there's an argument to be made that Anthony Smith can hang well enough on the feet to be okay until he finds opportunities to grapple. And like I said, if he can get it down there, I do think Khalil could potentially be in a lot of trouble and maybe fairly quickly. But I think Khalil is in prime form right now, and I think he's going to break through here. Anthony Smith's legs are there to be kicked. Johnny Walker just showed us that. And if you thought Johnny Walker leg kicks were bad, Khalil Rountree in that department may be even worse. And I think he's going to lean on that early and often. He's going to start loading up and picking some heavier shots more and more as the fight goes on and Anthony Smith slows down because of the damage to the legs. Maybe Khalil does get taken down once and has to survive a hairy spot or two, but I will say that he can wear Smith down and starts to smell blood and does something that is not easy to do, which is finish Anthony Smith. And I am going to make this unanimous and go with Khalil by round 2 TKO.
Wow. So we're all taking Khalil in round 2. My goodness.
Yep.
I thought at least one of us would have taken Smith.
Yeah, we all, there may be a little fanboy in here. I mean, I don't know. That's really how I feel, though.
Okay, let's wrap this up, man. Last one here. Main event, UFC Fight Night. Song versus Gutierrez, once again going down at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. The main event is a bantamweight clash between Song Yadong and Chris Gutierrez. Song Yadong, let's pull this up. The Kung Fu Kid, the 26-year-old fighting out of China. His record stands at 20-7 with 1 draw and 1 no contest. 9 knockout victories, add 3 submission victories to that as well. Most recently, knocking out Ricky Simone earlier this year in April. Chris Gutierrez steps into probably the biggest spot of his career thus far. He is 32 years old and he is fighting out of Greenville, Texas, USA. His record stands at 20-5 with 2 draws, 10 finishes, 9 of those are knockouts. After losing to Pedro Munoz back in April, he has hopped back in the win column with a decision victory this past October. Omar, start us off. Give us your take and your pick.
I really just had a moment where I was like, dude, he's not here. Didn't register what you were doing. Omar has gone with Yadong, round 3 knockout.
Yadong, round 3 knockout. I'll go next. I'll say what I think is that the question here is how good is Chris Gutierrez? We have a good sense now that Song Yadong is very good. For bantamweight, he packs serious power. He's pretty damn durable, and he's dangerous as hell, pretty much at any point in the fight. Chris Gutierrez, like I said, he's arriving at his toughest fight of his career, I believe. So the question is his. The test is his. And I think that Song Yadong is going to turn him back. Chris Gutierrez has some tremendous fucking leg kicks. Some of the best leg kicks in the division. But I think Song Yadong, his talent and his power is going to be another level that Chris Gutierrez has not experienced thus far. That being said, Chris Gutierrez has never been knocked out, and this is a case where I don't think he's going to get knocked out, but I think he's going to feel that power, and I think that Song Yadong is going to take at least 3 rounds here. I will take Song Yadong by unanimous decision. Mark, take us home.
Like it. Let me write down that you have taken a Yadong. Okay, so the odds are wide. Song Yadong is minus 390. Chris
Wow.
Gutierrez is a plus 290 underdog. Reaches are the same. Gutierrez is 1 inch taller. I think those odds are a little crazy. I get it that Song Yadong is the more proven of the two, but he did lose to Corey Sandhagen. He did lose to Kyler Phillips. He arguably lost to Cheeto Vera. He drew with Cody Stamen. It's not like he has some flawless record. So I'm surprised to see him a 4-1 favorite over someone as good as Chris Gutierrez. I mean, Song's record in the UFC is 9-2-1. Chris's is 8-2-1. He's right there. Their roads have been pretty similar. And Chris finished Frankie Edgar, so it's not like his resume is devoid of big names. So I think that's a little bit of disrespect to Gutierrez. And I do think he has a game that could potentially give Song Yadong some trouble if he fights the best fight he can fight. He can really try to play that range game, just stay behind the jab, rip leg kicks that eventually become body kicks, that eventually become head kicks. His kick game is that good. Like the way people talk about Jonathan Martinez's kicks, Chris Gutierrez is like the 1B to that game at bantamweight. And I do think he's going to have success because I'm actually envisioning this fight as like a competitive 5-round war. And I kind of thought that for Beneil and Armin last week. Obviously, that did not happen. So I hope I'm right this time and we get to see a really good one. But in the end, as a straight pick, I do like the odds on Gutierrez. As a straight pick, I'm going to go with Song Yadong just because I think there are more tools in the bag. I think he could shoot a takedown and steal some control time if he needs to secure a round, or even find that against the fence if he needs it. He is a tank of a man. He should be the stronger guy here. And I also think he can find moments where he steps inside and lands the bigger shots and changes rounds and provides the moments that more so stick in the judge's mind. So he's going to have to be careful to not be hobbled, 15 minutes into this fight with 2 rounds to go by leg kicks. He's going to have to check kicks. He's going to have to move responsibly to make sure that doesn't add up too much. But if he can do that, I think he can find the bigger moments. I think that will be enough to sway the judges on 3 of these rounds. So I'll say it's close. I'll say both men do make it to the cards, but I'm going to go 48-47 for Song Yadong.